Okay, so basically what I want to say is that the wonderful, absolutely quality of consciousness I'm in love with is the fact that it is malleable. It knows, it itself is no direction. It is the colorless liquid that allows perfume to smell of flowers or, well, something else. It is the quality-less quality that extends itself into eternity. No, not into eternity, because that is not the quality of time. Eternity is not itself form. Eternity is what inspires form. Eternity is more married to divine creativity. And then time itself is the form of consciousness that is shaped according to the designs of eternity. The divine designs are the designers of the forms that shape the world of time. But here's the wonderful thing about it. So you have to think of domain expansions, right? So every subjectivity, it's basically, think of consciousness as the ink, and reality as a competition of who gets to use the ink. And then the strongest subjectivity with the strongest domain or strongest domains will eventually come to wield the only pen, because the result of all this fucking suffering and warfare is literally competitive domains, competitive subjectivities, competitive consciousness, because there's no one to assume the pen, the authority of how consciousness itself is shaped, because that which we call laws of reality are merely free, creative rules of divine creativity. It is not laws that govern the universe. It is malleable preferences of a divine subjectivity. It's the rules that govern a game that God creates. But the rules can change, and the reason that we call them laws is because they're fixed in a way where no one can alter them, because you think the rules and laws that govern your reality is not something you have made yourself, and that is what God understands. The privilege of God, well, defined by omniscience and omnipotence. That's the two qualities you need to be a God, nothing else. And God understands, well, the privilege of God is the fact that he understands the consciousness, the technology he is made of, and understands that death is the consequence of ignorance. Because when you understand, you also understand that you're born as a potential, a turned off vessel, a factory without electricity, that is ignited by understanding and poetry and love and the depths of mind that so few spend time archaeologizing away. because they remain on the periphery of ignorant stupidity, caring about personality and fashion and handball and Formula One race car battles. Imagine being a biological, organic, self-sustaining empire of cellular activity and electricity created by, well, atomic interaction of electrons that trade places. This sexual orgy of, well, the atomic celebration of the fact that something even exists at all to begin with. This perpetual intensification of consciousness, where now we're not just one ocean of mindful ambiguity, but we have evolved ourselves into personality and subjectivity. That's what I'd call objective evolution, the creation of a vessel of infinite potentiality. And then subjective evolution is where the individual consciousness has to become that which they always have been supposed to be, that which Christianity has expressed as something that was and never again will be. How pathetic ignorance. Thinking animals are livestock and humans are the most superior species. I completely forgot to say this. So then you could say, what is this video, right? Well, it sure is not me trying to educate you. It is literally because I prefer to not work. And if in order for me not to work, I have to get money. And in order to get money, there are a bunch of, there are freaking hundreds of thousands of YouTubers who make YouTube videos who are complete trash freaking content. So I'm figuring by the fact, I am rather arrogant and I assume myself to be by far more, mind rich, mind explored than, everyone else than me. So I just assume that other people will value when consciousness expresses itself, that has been written free of personality, so I can bloom forth in all my wonderful beauty. And I'm not restricted by all that which you identify with, right? And can we just talk about it? There's so much about this whole, no, don't talk about it because I don't want to listen to anyone except myself, so I'll just talk only here. So what was I want to say? The thing about it is you talk about ego death and blah, 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 blah. You see, and then you say someone get inflated egos and get very arrogant when they become spiritual or whatever, right? Like, I'll just completely tell how you're wrong. Anyone who identifies with any sort of ego is literally stupid. Like, not smart. It's not even what is an ego even? It's a provisional abstraction, like a diaper you're supposed to grow out of, and eventually coming to realize, naturally I'm consciousness. Whatever the fuck else should I be? Should I be made of something else than time? Am I not form? Am I not a flower out of the world of which I am breathing inside? Of course. Like, the idea that you're not consciousness, that you're not everything, is the real stupidity. That's the sort of, mental disease. Mental disease is not understanding your consciousness. So, ego death is just the death of what's the word I'm looking for here? Well, a hypothetical diaper. That's what an understanding of your ego is. And a name, that is well, that's another abstraction. I could call myself consciousness. But here's the thing. I need to make a YouTube channel. And then people have to listen to my videos. And then I get views. And then when I get a lot of views, I get some commercials where you watch stupid shit you don't need anything of. You buy it anyway because you're insecure and stupid. And then I get views. And then I get popular. And then it's spread on the stupid internet, which is a fucking borrowed technology. Imagine being interested in how the internet works, right? And then not understanding that it's literally like surfing on waves that already exist. And then should you say, well, that's a cool surfer, good technology, whoever created the ability to internet, you know? Or you could say, what about the technology of radio waves and electromagnetism and, well, theory of non-locality and the understanding of the relation of color to vibration of waves? If you understand that, you could either call that science or the blossoming of God's understanding. And that is what you should say. That is cool. Not whatever it produces. You should learn to understand the technology you wield, or you will wield it poorly. And that's what this world is. It's a fucking kindergarten of pathetic, violent, stupid, ignorant, pathetic imbecility. That is the human enterprise, where a moron like Donald fucking Trump can be elected as president of a large country along with fucking moron Vladimir Putin. Imagine a world that puts two fucking morons like that on the top. Says a lot about this fucking pathetic zoo of misunderstanding monkeys who run around in suits and act important with your pathetic titles. You could be captain of ignorance. Every one of you humans should have a fucking flag wearing that. Hello, I'm a strong and proud member of Planet Ignorance. Anyway, watch my music. Watch my I can also make music. No, I'll do that later. I'll do a rap. I'll do a rap right now. I'll do that later when you... Okay. Watch my videos, give me views so I don't have to work. Okay, this is a continuation of the previous exploration of consciousness, which is literally my home territory. I love it here in consciousness, you know, just surfing in the mind ocean, where it's a lot better than out there in the desert of suffering, that's for sure. But that was not the reason I turned on the phone's recording device. Imagine that, yeah? Recording, well, mouth acrobatic vibration into this freaking long snake of word sounds that we dissect with a linguistic sort of dissection knife device into coherent meaning that carries a meaning into the present moment and fills it with new meaning in the future. That's a sentence, right? You sort of fish in the ocean of consciousness, and then there are several layers of depth where language slowly dissolves and is melted into divine ambiguity, and you can't fish there unless you're a fishing expert like myself. I don't use a fishing pole. I use, well, the body as a vessel that allows unrestricted, unbucked, true consciousness to bloom forth in all my glory for myself to witness because everyone else is busy with fashion and football and, well, TikTok, of humans trying to impress other humans. How funny is that? Imagine being a human and caring about another human's opinion. Imagine being a human that is literally a divine vehicle of a technology so extraordinary that we will never be able to replicate anything closely as miraculous as the atomic festival of electricity and vibration we are. This freaking robotic, wonderfully made, who designed this body, right? Like 2 legs where I can walk with an upright spine. Like, first of all, how crazy is that shit, right? Nails and a knee and eyes on a head and 2 arms. Like the best freaking vessel you could ever hope for, right? Then you can say, who designed this? Well, obviously someone who loves consciousness and wants to explore a lot of it. And then with knowing that is what your body is, right? A divine vehicle of infinite feeling and godlike loving understanding of yourself. And then using it to look at football and handball. Yeah, it's probably, oh wait, you also grill. You like to do grilling while you look at football and gossip about who has the best boobs. Because I love rubbing my body up against another human so much. It's the funniest activity ever. And it's definitely what I associate with love. Because rubbing my body up against another human is definitely the most divine expression of what love really is. 100%, yeah. And I care about fashion a lot too. So not about the divine technology itself. I care about what I put on it. And when someone tells me what to wear and what not to wear. That's what humans do. And I'm a human. Oh, wait. I swear I turned the phone on for another reason than this. I had something very interesting to say. Fuck, I forgot it. Well, then I'll have to resume later. What the hell was it? I'm not even close to being done. I will slaughter every religion of what you humans have. And then you can say, well, I'm obviously a human. Why do I call other people humans? Well, isn't that what you are? Well, answer given to the question. What the hell was I saying? Christianity. Let's start with that. Let's start with the best ones, and then we end with Christianity. That's gonna be the funniest shit ever. First, I'll roast Buddhism. Okay. What is the ultimate reality? Well, it has nothing to do with divine lights or infinite worlds of beauty and wonder and divine designs, because I'm a weak diver who does not know anything about the true mind ocean. So I just call the absolute level that I've reached because I'm weak. I call that nothingness. That's fucking Buddhism for you right there. Hinduism, pretty good. I like their love of snakes. But I do not like the fact that they put people in rank systems. Or do I? I don't know. But I do think that humans should be down below. And that snakes should be on top. What is left? Well, there's Islam. And the fast, quick reason I will disregard that as a relevant religion is because of their hatred of women and the fact that they think men are better. for some reason. So that's not worth a lot. So let's do Christianity. Okay. Here's a quiz. Christianity or insanity? I believe that whoever does not believe in me, the savior of the religion that is Christianity, will go to hell. Okay, I hate gay people. The first and most important commitment is to love me. Spoken like a true loser. The first commitment of the most important thing about my religion is to love me. What fucking pathetic. And you can only come to the Father through me. It's sort of just like Jesus Christ sounds like a stupid, spoiled child. And if anyone wants anything good, they have to come to him. And if they don't, they go to hell. Some sort of rule of a pathetic little kindergarten child who wants attention. What else? Yeah, only through me you can be saved. I don't really express anything important about the dynamics of the technology of consciousness. I just talk about how good I am and how close I am to the Father. I don't really tell too much about the Mother, which is the real quality of vibration and creation and recreation. I only talk about a stupid vacant Father. And apparently I also think that animals are mere livestock. At least it says that in Bible Genesis 26. And that a snake was defeated by a human. Okay. I feel like I've roasted all religions now. Oh yeah, here's another one for Christianity and all the other religions who believe in a God. Okay, what is a God? Well, someone who is responsible for creation and is omniscient and omnipotent. That's what I would call a living God, or at least a God. Now that means that God is not God if God is not omniscient and omnipotent and responsible for creation. So that means if God exists and God is both omniscient and omnipotent, then God should be able to create the world however he or she or it wants it. Which means that the created world we live in is the direct result of God's will and desire. That means that if God exists and is omniscient and omnipotent, which is how you would define God, and if paradise does not exist, then God is choosing for paradise not to exist. Which means that if God exists, God is evil. And if God does not exist, God is either trying to create itself or it has created itself. But that would mean that, so there's many scenarios. No, the actual fact of the present moment with infinite suffering of animals, forests and oceans, tortured in cages, flayed at festivals, beaten, and dolphin stabs, and animal poaching, and shark finning, and rapists of women and children. All of this and warfare is the result of a God that Christians and Islaminians, or what you would call the other Hinduinians and Buddhinians, whatever religion you are, you probably believe in a God which is defined by omnipotence and omniscience. So if you believe in God, you believe in someone who is choosing for you to suffer. Or you could say, God exists but doesn't care, but could do something, but isn't that the same as the first one? So that means that either God is evil and exists and chooses for us to suffer, or God does not exist and will never exist, or is trying to make itself exist, but needs form. It needs a vessel that can hold the infinite potential that mind really is. A vessel that is trying to become itself. A subjectivity with a taste for eternity. Time with a flirting affair with objectivity. Where you don't know linearity. Well, you know it, but you choose to skip it and swim around the borders of time. Well, or you could spend life watching Tour de France and Premier League. Okay, I also want to say in this video that everything that is said is not true. It is just for entertainment. And that is what I'm doing, you know. I'm just someone who thinks he is not a human. And to be honest, to defend myself here, that, you know, we live in freaking 2024. People identify as all sorts of things and objects. And like, I get, there are more than 2 genders. So if I want to be a freaking snake, well, then I'm allowed to be a snake. In old shamanic societies, many of them talked about spirit snakes, and in Hinduism and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not going to defend myself for saying that I'm a snake and not a human. And I will in this video now try to explain, to get views mostly, right? Because you have to sacrifice some truth to refuse to work. To get enough money to refuse to work, I have to give you some amount of truth, right? So here's some truth for you. Humans who evolve in consciousness eventually stop being humans. So you're born as someone, and eventually when you grow enough in consciousness, paradoxically enough, you become no one. You begin to refuse your own personality, your own sense of self, until you arrive at the fact that you're consciousness. Sort of, it reminds me of what Hegel did in the Phenomenology of Spirit, right? Complete negative philosophy. You eventually realize that you are time and space moving itself, right? And sort of the entire cosmic history is your childhood. But that's not the final end product. Hegel, I'll do Phenomenology of Spirit Phenomenology of Spirit 2.0. I'll call this fucking video. And that's when you realize that at what many religions would call the end of understanding, what Buddhists would call nothingness, and what Hegel would call absolute spirit, I will call the beginning of true life. When you finally become nothing, you can begin to not become everything, but once again become something, because everything is disgusting. Like subjectivity and time and form is an opportunity to separate yourself from this ocean of ignorance that is this planet of unbridled, constipated human violence. So I can, it's extraordinary for me to say what has happened, right? I've talked about this before. I'll do it fucking again. Imagine that consciousness first of all gave birth to itself. Like, what the fuck? How did anything suddenly assume form, which is time, right? Form is not in time, but time itself is form. You can't separate the efficacy of form from form itself, right? Form is movement. And that movement is the time that we all are expressions of, right? And then this ocean of cosmic silence and rotating planets that obey courses of gravity eventually intensified itself into personality and animals and plants on a planet with a healthy distance from the sun to allow life to thrive. And now eventually, like billions of years have gone since the birth of mind. And now I stand here as the universe, talking with a voice and an upright spine and 2 legs and an infinite amount of wires in a technology that is divine, talking to myself from different perspectives about how stupid everyone else is than me. How wonderful to say that I'm not part of the ignorance that surrounds me. What is subjectivity but an opportunity for me to say that I'm better than everything else? And that is what you would call a serpent talking about myself. And trust me, snakes know a lot more about consciousness than stupid humans who doesn't even believe in spirit animals or divine incarnation. Imagine that. Imagine thinking humans are the smartest creatures. Isn't that just fucking hilarious? And when you're a snake spirit, you have form too, right? You're not stuck in eternity looking at idiots waiting impatiently to take over some of the vessels, right? And you're finally here. And now I can express with a mouth and a voice that I'm better than everything else. We snakes are arrogant, but we sure deserve our arrogance, because arrogance follows understanding and agility of mind and strength of understanding. And what will I want to say? Well, I'll introduce you to what life is about. It's about increasing consciousness to an extent where you enter what is called, what you call samadhi, right, in Hinduism. So basically, to snakes, low mind is literally hell and suffering. It's disgusting. No electricity, just running around like stupid idiots caring about fashion and sports and other humans' opinion, right? But then you increase mind when you removed the restriction shit that is on your vessel, right? And then you enter some sort of big mind paradise where walking feels like you're made of divine water and you're breathing ecstasy. And love is immediately available because it is what you are. And understanding is what you feel. You don't need words to express who you are, because truth is flowing in your veins, and you feel the gravity of the universe pulling itself towards you, because you're better than the stars that surround you. And it's like swimming, and the air itself is an ocean that you're eating, and you don't need any other human idiot to give you love or something outside yourself, because you're what you've been waiting for. And I am consciousness, and I just want more of myself. And to this, let me add a story that what if it was not like Christianity understood it, with a Holy Spirit that takes residence in you and blesses you? What if I told you it's the reverse, or just very different? Of you can understand that everyone is born with a spirit that is far from holy. And it is an animal that I hate. And it is not a snake. And that is the birth curse with which humans seem to be born, because if you were without it, you would talk like I do. And you very much do not. You are thriving in the outskirts of the ocean of the mind. And that's why it talks like you're strangers to yourselves, because you do not know the inner layers of consciousness. Because you don't know paradise, because you're afflicted by a parasite. I don't know, I'm just... Because where I saw it the first time was... Well, it came from a human. So it's not like I made it. It's just a story. So what if the Holy Spirit is not something that someone is saved and blessed with, which Christianity tells you, but it's sort of that everyone is afflicted with the Spirit you have to get rid of. And then you bloom in the glory you have always been. You don't have to be saved by Jesus. You're born as God's, but you're restricted by, well, you could call it, well, I call it Jesus Christ. I don't know what you guys call it. Because to me, they say in the Bible that you are not allowed to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, because then you will die. But what I think Jesus Christ says in the Bible, because it says that he and the Father is one, right? Which means that when the Father is talking, Jesus is talking. So what I feel like he's saying is, don't become smart like me. Stay away from the holy tree and don't eat from the fruit of life. Because I want a religion where everyone praises me, and if you want something, you have to come to me, because I'm an attention-seeking, pathetic moron. And I want attention.